In the early 1950s, the American government was pouring millions into Project Sherwood, a classified mission to unlock the power of nuclear fusion. At major universities and national laboratories, teams of scientists were building massive devices to control the atom. This was the official, sanctioned path to a new energy future. But at the same time, in a remote laboratory in Maine, a lone exiled scientist was conducting his own, far more dangerous nuclear experiment. He wasn't trying to create a star in a jar, he was trying to see what would happen when the energy of the atom met the energy of life itself. His name was Wilhelm Reich, and the establishment saw his work, not as science, but as a heresy that had to be destroyed. In the heart of the Cold War, as the world trembled under the shadow of the atomic bomb, one man dared to ask a question so audacious, so dangerous, that it threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality. What if the life force of the universe could fight back against the deadliest poison ever created by man? What if Orgone Energy could tame the atom? This wasn't just an experiment, it was a gamble with the highest stakes imaginable. Wilhelm Reich, a man already branded a heretic by the scientific establishment, was about to bring a milligram of pure, weaponized radium into his Orgone-rich laboratory. His goal? To find a cure for radiation sickness, to offer a shield against the atomic apocalypse. But what he unleashed was something else entirely, something alive, something angry. What if in trying to heal the world, Reich accidentally created a new kind of plague? This episode delves into the most controversial and terrifying chapter of Wilhelm Reich's career. The Oranur Experiment, a story of hubris, discovery, and a force of nature that refused to be controlled. Stay with us, because what happened in that laboratory in 1951 will change everything you thought you knew about the secret energies of our world. To understand the Oranur Experiment, we must first understand the time in which it was conceived. The early 1950s, a world living in constant fear of nuclear war. The atom bomb wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of humanity's self-destructive tendencies, a perversion of science that threatened to extinguish all life. For Reich, this was the ultimate expression of the emotional plague, the death impulse made manifest. But Reich believed he had an answer. Orgone Energy, the fundamental life force of the universe, was in his view the antithesis of nuclear energy. Where nuclear energy was destructive, orgone was creative. Where nuclear energy brought sickness and death, orgone brought health and vitality. He theorized that a high concentration of orgone could neutralize the deadly effects of radiation, that life could, in essence, fight back against its own annihilation. It was a beautiful, audacious, and incredibly dangerous idea. The plan was deceptively simple. Reich would place a small amount of radium, a highly radioactive material, inside a powerful orgone accumulator. He would then observe the effects, both on the radium itself and on the surrounding environment. He hoped to see a decrease in the radium's radioactivity and a corresponding increase in the concentration of orgone energy. He believed he was on the verge of a discovery that could save humanity from itself. He had no idea he was about to open Pandora's box. But what happens when you introduce a deadly poison into a highly concentrated field of life energy? Does the life energy neutralize the poison, or does the poison corrupt the life energy? The answer, as Reich was about to discover, was far more complex and terrifying than he could have ever imagined, and the consequences would be felt for years to come. In December 1950, the experiment began. The initial results were promising. The Geiger counters showed a slight, but measurable, decrease in the radioactivity of the radium. It seemed that Reich's theory was correct. Orgone energy was indeed having an effect on the nuclear material. But then, something strange began to happen. The atmosphere in the laboratory started to change. The air grew thick, heavy, and oppressive. The researchers began to feel ill, experiencing symptoms of nausea, headaches, and extreme fatigue. The life energy wasn't just neutralizing the radiation, it was reacting to it, and the reaction was becoming violent. Reich realized that he had underestimated the power of the interaction he had unleashed. The orgone energy wasn't just absorbing the radiation, it was becoming excited by it, transformed into a new, hyperactive, and incredibly dangerous state. He called this new form of energy Oranur, a portmanteau of orgone anti-nuclear radiation. But this was no cure. This was a new kind of sickness. The laboratory, once a sanctuary of healing, had become a hot zone of a new, unknown, and terrifying energy. The effects of Oranur were devastating. The researchers became increasingly ill. The plants and animals in the laboratory began to die. Even the physical environment was affected. The walls of the laboratory seemed to be decaying, the metal equipment rusting at an accelerated rate. Reich had created a monster, a force of nature that was not only hostile to life, but actively sought to destroy it. He had stared into the abyss, and the abyss was staring back. But the worst was yet to come. The Oranur effect was not contained within the laboratory. It was spreading, seeping out into the surrounding environment. A silent, invisible plague. And Reich, in a desperate attempt to control the monster he had created, was about to make a decision that would have catastrophic consequences. Reich's nightmare was no longer confined to the four walls of his laboratory. The Orgone Energy, a testament to his hubris, was now a plague upon the land. The once vibrant forests surrounding Orgone began to wither and die. The animals fled or were found dead, their bodies showing signs of a strange, unidentifiable sickness. The people in the nearby town of Rangeley began to complain of a strange, oppressive atmosphere, a sense of dread that seemed to hang in the air. The experiment was no longer under Reich's control. It was controlling him and everyone around him. In a desperate attempt to contain the spreading plague, Wilhelm Reich made a fateful decision. He would take the experiment to the next level. He would intentionally create a cosmic Orgone engineering event, a massive release of Orgone Energy designed to cleanse a part of the atmosphere of the Orgone contamination. He called this new experiment Operation, or OP Desert. It was a gamble born of desperation, a final, desperate attempt to put the genie back in the bottle. The results of Operation OROP Desert were as dramatic as they were unpredictable. The oppressive atmosphere around Orgone seemed to lift, replaced by a strange, almost euphoric sense of calm. But the long-term effects were far more insidious. The weather patterns in the region became erratic and unpredictable. Strange, luminous phenomena were reported in the skies. The very fabric of the local environment seemed to have been permanently altered. Reich had not cleansed the plague, he had merely transformed it, creating a new, and perhaps even more dangerous, form of atmospheric sickness. The Orgone Experiment was a failure, a catastrophic miscalculation that had unleashed a new and terrifying force upon the world. But it was also a profound, albeit terrifying, lesson. A lesson about the interconnectedness of all things, the dangers of unchecked scientific hubris, and the awesome, untamable power of the life force itself. And the final chapter of this story is a warning that we are still struggling to understand. The Orgone Experiment was a turning point in Reich's career and in his life. It was the moment when his boundless optimism collided with the harsh, unforgiving reality of the forces he was dealing with. He had sought to heal the world, but had instead unleashed a new kind of sickness. He had tried to be a savior, but had become a sorcerer's apprentice, unable to control the magic he had summoned. But the legacy of Oranur is not just a story of failure. It's a profound and deeply relevant warning. A warning about the dangers of tampering with forces we do not fully understand. A warning about the arrogance of a science that is divorced from a deep reverence for life. And a warning about the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate balance of the cosmic energies that sustain us. In our own time, as we face the existential threats of climate change, nuclear proliferation, and environmental collapse, the lessons of Orgone have never been more urgent. Reich's experiment, for all its terror, was born from a place of love. A love for humanity, a love for life, and a desperate desire to protect it from the forces of death and destruction. And in that, there is a powerful and enduring message. The message that the greatest power in the universe is not the atom bomb, but the life force that animates us all. And that our only hope for survival is to learn to live in harmony with that force, to respect its power, and to never, ever take it for granted. The future is in our hands. Will we be the little men who destroy our world, or the awakened beings who heal it? The Orgone Experiment is a story that has been silenced, ridiculed, and ignored for too long. But it is a story that we must now confront if we are to have any hope of creating a future that is worthy of the name. The choice, as always, is ours. The Orgone Experiment is a stark reminder that the path of the pioneer is often a lonely and dangerous one. Reich dared to explore the frontiers of science, to ask the forbidden questions, and to challenge the very foundations of our understanding of the universe. He paid a heavy price for his courage, but his work and his warnings are more important today than ever before. It is up to us to listen. The story doesn't end here. Watch our next episode on the cosmic Orgone engineering experiments and the strange, unexplained phenomena that followed. Subscribe to Wilhelm Reich, The Silenced Truth, for more deep dives into the forbidden science, the hidden history, and the radical ideas that have the power to change our world. What do you think about the Orgone Experiment? Was Reich a genius or a madman? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with anyone who is not afraid to question the official narrative, who is passionate about the environment, and who believes in the power of life to overcome the forces of death. The truth deserves to be heard, and the conversation deserves to continue.